Oh, from New York, you are listening to Extra Time. I am Andrew Wiebe with my partners in soccer, an old face, David Goss. Not to say you're old or aging.
It doesn't matter.
Fresh.
Just move on quickly.
A new face. Diego Valeri is with us today.
What's your song?
My song?
Yeah. What do fans sing? You know.
No.
MVP.
MVP was one, but there's oh, yo, Valeri. Hey.
Ooh.
I
want to know if you'll be. But then the way they
he's
say.
going to score a goal.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And the answer is obviously
Thank you,
yes.
Timbers fans.
It is a
That
good
has to be the best song of any person who's ever hosted.
for sure.
Because I don't think anyone else
might
has
be
a
the
good song.
first song of anybody who's ever hosted. What do you think?
Kaylin must have had a song.
Yeah, probably.
Charlie must have had songs.
Charlie.
Doyle and Susanna sung show tunes.
Yeah, they sang
different.
themselves. I have sang on this show, but never had anyone sing to me in mass. So, hey, it's a pleasure to have you, Diego.
What does it feel like when people are singing it?
It's weird.
Okay.
I like it.
Yeah.
You know, but it's weird.
In the
It's
game,
weird.
how much specific songs do you make out throughout the play while you're playing in a game? Like, do you notice which songs are being sung, or you just feel the noise?
No, it depends. It depends. If you have a minute to stop, and you're going to kick the corner kick or whatever, and you listen, you pay attention, right? You can tell. And you know, Timbers Army, they are very structured on how they sing it. So sometimes it depends. It depends how the game goes, right? If the game is like pretty intense, you don't have time to listen at it.
Right. So Timbers for you, I'm sure, number one environment in MLS you played in. What would be the second best environment you played in MLS?
Oh,
he starts.
That's key. I like actually like Austin environment.
Okay.
LAFC environment is really good.
Okay.
And then Atlanta, in the final.
Yeah, that
was full of people.
Yeah, I remember that final MLS Cup, looking to Bobby Warshaw next to me, and both of us seeing the stadium full and the environment.
Kansas City is a good environment.
Okay.
Yeah. Minnesota is a good environment.
I didn't say Seattle.
I'm probably
hasn't said Seattle. Just
no, it's it depends. It depends.
It's only good when it's a Western Conference Finals and you guys are winning in penalty kicks.
That was a beautiful day.
Yeah.
Beautiful night, actually, right? So, it was full of people. I mean, playoff games is a good environment to play, even in Seattle.
We have the
car shows are good, too.
We have the perfect troll here for Anders. So, Anders, you get ready. Buckle yourself in. We're going to ask Diego a lot of Seattle-specific questions here. Let's get started, though. Congrats to the champs. Austin FC, Copa Tejas winners by default. Thank you so much to the Austin FC comm staff for hooking me up with this.
They regret it now.
Jersey. It's awesome. The jersey's awesome. It's just unfortunate for them. Their season has not gone as planned. Congrats to FC Cincinnati. Coming up in today's show, we will celebrate the Shield winners from Spoon ×3, the absolute dregs, the Valley of Darkness.
I think it's their first trophy in club history across all. Because someone had been mentioned MLS. They didn't win Open Cup. They never won USL. So I don't know what else they would have won.
I think I had made an assumption that they did.
A lot of people did. 2018 what? I don't believe that's true.
This is an ongoing conversation. Because they always lost to
Red Bulls too.
Yeah,
they may have won the regular season in USL, but I don't believe they
this is a good start. We'll check that out.
Yeah, this is
2018 USL Cincinnati.
Yeah.
But Cincinnati played the MLS first. I mean, USL.
They came in. Well,
I remember playing against them in Cincinnati 2018.
Yeah, I think you're right. No,
regular season champs.
2019.
Yeah.
Okay.
We'll get to the importance of that as well, because Pat Noonan has something to say about the old MLS Cup Supporters Shield debate, which I think is very interesting. St. Louis, home field advantage in the number one seed. They win a rivalry match, knock off Sporting Kansas City, probably in Kansas City's playoff hopes, and in the process of RSL beating LAFC on Sunday night. St. Louis will be the number one seed in the West and have home field advantage for the entirety of the Western Conference playoffs if they can advance, and then possibly MLS Cup depending on who gets there from the East.
They are the first expansion team that will ever win their conference.
And they're a point off the all-time record for points, and they set the record for wins with 17. We'll talk Cincy and St. Louis. Diego's got his top 5 MLS Cup contenders. We'll roll through those. The most disappointing playoff results. We will also talk Matchday 36. Remember, we have Wednesday night matches on MLS Season Pass on Apple TV, and we almost had a perfect squad pick. no thanks to Stefano Fusaro, who dropped the ball.
Steph, we love you.
And we have
Enjoy
some good
your
men.
time off.
All right, before we get to the best thing we saw in Matchday 35, Diego, we would have you no matter what, but a big reason we had you is you have a new show. It's like The Movement, but in Spanish, Cambio de Frente, MLSES.com, MLSsoccer.com with subtitles. I saw, of course, the first episode, which is all about how you are sort of making this transition in your life and what your past is like and how you've gotten here. And I'm told you have a really cool second episode. Tell us about the show.
So we can start saying that we can put the name in English too. Switch or play. That means nice. Cambio de Frente.
Yeah.
So switch or play, you know? So it's actually in English sounds really well too.
Yeah, it's clever.
And it adapts to what it is. So the show is basically, we're trying to show and to appreciate different perspectives of people around the game, of the MLS, obviously, and how they see the game, how they see the North American way of play, the MLS, and I'm obviously through my experience as a soccer player, and now in this new role with you guys, which treat me really well in the studio. So yeah, that's what it is. And the second episode is really good, which is MLS Next Pro, and
love it. How
the North American players play the game. So is there a way? Is there an identity? Are they still creating that identity? And we have big names of it with Tata Martino, with all his experience, and Javier Morales.
Wow.
Benja Keremansky, nice. A little bit too. So, now Miami has some
a good spot.
Young talent.
Did you get Santi Morales in that one? I hear he's a big time prospect.
He is. We talk about it.
Yeah.
We talk about him, obviously with his father and his coach. But but most likely about what I try to touch is there a way for the North American players, young players, when you see them play, you realize it's North American way to play, as you see an Argentinian guy playing or a Brazilian guy playing, right? So I think so, but let's see what they say.
Is that what did you come out of it saying yes?
No,
yourself?
We'll see.
Okay.
We'll see.
I
think they are still. There's always like a player that synthesizes that, right? When you see someone,
right?
But still, I think they are creating the way to play, right? They are still like it's gonna take time, right? But it's coming. It's coming.
We're finding ourselves,
that, But still, we all agree that the physicality is there. The physicality is there. The technique, how clean they are to play the game. How they're gonna get fun. You see that. They're gonna get fun when they play the game, right? They're gonna be on the ball. So but it's gonna be around it.
So you mentioned that we've been good to you here. My understanding is the first episode has some footage of you playing soccer in New York.
Yeah, but we cut some. We cut some of the.
If it's you megging me,
no.
If Adolfo screwed me on that, I was
personally, I say to Adolfo, don't put that on the show.
Thank you.
Let's protect David.
So, I don't know why I closed him down so hard so early, and I was like, "Damn it!"
That is the David Goss way of I'm coming. I'm getting shot out of a cannon on this one. It doesn't matter. This is a pickup game. I am going to close
Actually, David,
down
you
Diego.
played great that game. I remember.
Thank you.
Oh, let's play
a great game.
Hold on. Let's get a scouting report.
We beat you anyways.
Yes, that's great.
So.
We beat you.
Yeah, we beat you
like a drum.
But you played a good game.
Melissa was the only person on our team who shot. No one would. We're all defenders. No one shot. We moved it a little. And then they take it over and be 2-touch and then a shot.
From what you remember, outside of Meg and Dave, what's the scouting report on David?
He has no idea.
The scouting reports say that he defended really well, but if a former pro soccer make you, it's okay, right? And you still need to improve the fitness a little bit. Because at the 10 minutes, he was already settled in the back. And
we were supposed to rotate teams. We were supposed to rotate teams and not enough people showed
no
up.
rotation.
So we played the whole time. Yeah, I play hockey style, quick subs, rotation.
Right. Right.
Oh yes, dude.
But in David's favor, I would say that we got a better team, right? I picked really well the team.
Yeah, you did.
You know?
I think you picked.
Well, it's your show. You want to have some good
yeah.
footage.
Yeah.
You don't want a cagey match.
Yeah.
You want Team Valeri to really run away with this thing. Cambio de Frente, MLSES.com. Of course, they have relaunched the Spanish language website. Congratulations to everyone involved with that. In particular, our good friend Edgar Acero, and we'll also be on MLSsoccer.com in subtitles. And if you liked the movement, and of course you do because you listen to this show, and we all love Kalen Carr and what he did with that program, there are a lot of the same sort of themes of curiosity and culture and people and trying to better understand the soccer world that we all are a part of and are all trying to grow. So looking forward to what you end up doing with this. Diego, before we get to Matchday 35, I do want to rewind it back because the show is about you, switch of play from a player to now this position. I want to go back to how you ended up in Portland. Like, tell me the Diego Valeri behind-the-scenes personal story, not just, hey, I got a contract offer and I signed. How'd you end up in Portland in MLS?
Oh, that's a big story. We actually talked a little bit before the show, right, Andrew? And you want me to say
that's
that,
called
right?
Pre-production, folks.
You want me to say...
I have no idea how this
You have
happened.
no idea? So, all started when I was in Lanús in 2011, and, I had an issue with Lanús, and the first team to call me, let's say, to have a contact with me, it actually was Seattle. Seattle Sounders.
Did you know this?
Mm-hmm.
No.
I didn't either.
I was.
Really?
And I feel like it's something I should have known.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, but
this is like
later
2012, 2011?
2012. Yeah, 2012.
Everyone's world just shifted. Do you feel that?
How close? So how close were you?
It was close. It was close, actually. But I made a deal with Lanús, so then I signed for like three-year contract, and it looked like they had an issue with an Uruguayan guy, Fernandez. So with the international spot, they made the roster.
Seattle.
Yeah, they made the
Flacco.
roster, and
Anders is dying right now.
Where Portland, paid attention to this Argentinian midfielder. They have other plans too, like other obviously number 10s in the list.
Right.
But they went to Argentina, and they like me. They watch me play, and they like it. And obviously the Portland Timbers made the decision of, yes, let's sign a DP, right? A young DP, which it wasn't normal at that time, right? And invest money on it. So yeah, but the story was like that. And then because I already went to Europe, and it was MLS looked very attractive to me, and my wife said, I prefer to live in the US, and I have a good relationship with Javier Morales. Guillermo Barros Esqueloto was coaching Lanús, so that was a big push for me to decide to come to the MLS and the Portland Timbers. But
in a different timeline.
In a different timeline.
Wow.
Different situation. Seattle Sounders might have Valeri hanging up in their rafters.
That's wild.
And to go to the rival and then have it be the it's just such a good story.
But that happened a lot, in Portugal. I went to Porto, and there's many players that Benfica likes it, and then they go to Porto.
Yeah.
But I'm happy with how the story ended, being honest.
Yeah. MLS got a legend. Portland got a legend. We get to hang out with Diego Valeri. Everybody wins. How does MLS change since you arrived? There's more than a decade. I was in the early days of working at MLSsoccer.com back then. And to me, it's a different world almost from 13 now to 2013. That decade has seen just crazy, crazy change.
For sure. And I would say that, from now to the near future, we are not going to see a big change as we already
you think this was the big jump?
Yeah, since 2013 or even 11, because now so when I arrived here, right, the competition, right, in terms of the roster, right, was very different. Like obviously less investment on the teams, and teams like Portland that they had a different mentality to compete against Galaxy, against teams. Even in that time, Houston was a big team, so that changed a lot, right? And how the homegrown players arrive to the rosters. So you have a better balance arriving to the 15th, 16, right?
Right.
Of young people coming as designated players, right? At that age, 26, 27 years old, right? And creating a better balance in between experience, right? Young competition and college guys coming, so young guys coming to the roster. So you have a better balance there. Even later on, when Atlanta came in with Barco, Miguel Almirón, right? Because my arriving to the league, right, attracts to other clubs to sign Nico Lodeiro, Ignacio Piatti, right, Maxi Morales, right? But Atlanta signings with Miguel Almirón, Barco, even Villalba was very young, right? So
Assad,
that
Joseph.
Was another jump in the league, because it was not all. So you added that sense of, okay, we have younger people that can be sold in the future to Europe, right? And that's a different attractive in terms of competition, right? You have players that wants to keep making improvements, right? And I think that's perfect. And still having names, big names coming to the league, right? Like Ibrahimovic, David Villa, Pirlo, Lampard. So you still have those. So when you look at the roster, different rosters of the clubs, I think that was a big jump. And at the same time, teams like Kansas City, that they have a style. So you have like now even San Luis. Now they have a style already. They have a style of
1
play,
year in,
which is great. When you see the league, obviously Messi, it's a different story. But what I'm saying is, beyond that, you have a strong league with many clubs competing, pretty even level. When you see at the West right now, it's amazing. It's amazing, right?
Toss it up.
So
who's going to win it? Who's going to finish ninth?
And it talks a lot about how is in the moment that the MLS it's living right now, right? For me, this is historic, unique moment in the league, and it's probably at the top right now.
Yeah, I see a change in the diversity of how teams can build.
Yeah.
In the mechanisms available to them. Also, of course, the investment, that's huge. TAM changed things. The influx of GAM and then DP spots as well. It's just the depth of quality, the talent is so much deeper than we had at that time. And we still have coaches now demanding more. So,
well, I think to Diego's point, when you came in, teams had 1 or 2 stars and were built around, and now every team has 4 or 5. So if we were to move from 5 to 10 stars level quality, that is less of a jump than 1 to 5.
Yeah,
because you're going from a star to a strong team to a strong team to a stronger team. And I think I agree with you of like that will feel less intense of a jump because we're already at that spot of, we do the previews, whatever. Let's talk Portland Timbers half second. We talk about Evander all the time. He's not on the field. Santi Moreno's of that quality, right? Diego Chara's of that quality. Jimmy Chara's of that quality.
Felipe Mora would have been a designated player in the
exactly.
2013.
And so now you already have a team that
he is like a designated.
Yeah,
right. So now you already have teams that have 5 or 6 players of that quality. And the hope is you'll continue to expand that going along.
And what you want to continue to expand is what I live with Marco Farfán, right? So players, young players that are identify with the team.
Yeah.
Home runs. I think that's why I like to touch base in the episode of that.
Right.
Because I want to see, I think that's is going to be a very good addition to the competition of the rosters, right? Because when you love your team, right, and you come from the academy system, you play in a different way, right? Obviously, you have to be capable enough to be there, but I think that's a next step that it's a wish, right?
That's how you say no to Seattle Sounders. The news just flows through your heart. You gotta stay. But I completely agree. It's about getting star players from different mechanisms.
Yeah.
2013, homegrowns were not becoming stars. They are becoming stars now. It's not in necessarily the mass that it will be, and I truly believe we will get there from development in our country. The U22 initiative, that brings in another crop of young players who can become or already stars. But the league has changed. You got to win on every level if you're a front office, if you're a manager, as a squad, and FC Cincinnati have won on every level. The best things we've saw on Matchday 35, Diego, I'm going to just start with you. It's got to be Cincy clinching their first trophy, the Supporters Shield. What have you thought of this season, this project, this accomplishment by FC Cincinnati?
I think it's amazing, because the most difficult thing to do in a club that doesn't have a story, a tradition of winning trophies, is winning a trophy, win the first one. So it's the most important, it's the most difficult. And I think this team, in the way they did it, right? Because when they started the season, I thought they were not going to be able to maintain the level, right? Because they have a structure, they have a style, right? 5 in the back, very, attacking with the flanks, and having Lucho as a, creative guy, like different thing in the team, right? And the 2 strikers, but they had, they played many games at home, so I hesitate. I say, are they going to be able to maintain the level? They actually improved individual level, right? They kept the collective levels in the same way. They actually were more solid and more solid every game. And it's amazing in the way. I really like in the way they did it, right? And obviously, winning the first trophy, it's something really important. So they're gonna arrive in the playoff. It actually they still are able to break records, right? In terms of Supporter Shield.
Yep.
So they have a challenge there, which is gonna keep them, with the motivation of, hey, we are going to get that. We're going to get the most points in the history of the MLS and Supporter Shield, and we're going to ride to the playoffs. So it looks like they are, for me, I really like the way they did it. And obviously, I appreciate that Lucho is playing in a great level, because I like to watch 10s in the league, right? And in the way they play. So Lucho has been amazing. I mean,
what do you make of, obviously you knew him in this league in DC.
Mm-hmm.
He wasn't the same. Of what changed for him?
It probably the time, because he's more mature, right? He's more mature. He knows the league better. And in DC, he always had someone else, right? A name around him, right? So now he probably took responsibility, because he's the name. Mm-hmm. He is the one that runs the team, right? And the team plays around him. So, and obviously it's his talent, his professionalism. So he's very professional, and he is capable. He was capable this season to add that numbers in terms of scoring goals and assists to that street soccer he has from Argentina. Right. You can tell that when he plays, he has potrero. He has, from streets, right? He brings to the professional field the street of Argentina way of play. So that's amazing, and I think it's because he's in the best time of his career.
I want to congratulate the whole club.
Yeah,
I mean it goes all the way through. From those that marched the first day to Nippert Stadium. You knew I was going to get that in there. But from players to staff to front office to employees, they've lived through 3 of the worst seasons in the history of this league. Dire seasons. And Lucho did too in 2021 before this all turned around. So to do it this fast, it's what stands out to me is just like the consistency and competency that the front office had, that the ownership had, in identifying the right people to get them out of chaos mode. Because, I'm going to throw some names out there like Jaap Stam, Jared Nijkamp. I don't even remember who coached him in the first season. Ron Jans. I don't know. It was a cavalcade of failure. Alan Koch. It was just... I
was like, there's a name
It was
there.
A disaster.
Johan Demey was their interim coach 3 separate times.
It was so bad. And then you hire Chris Albright. Pat Noonan comes with Chris. I'm sure they had been at Philly, looking at what the project was, talking about if we got our chance, what would we do? Get to Cincinnati. Let's be honest, there's more investment in the squad in Cincinnati. They had Lucho, they had some Brenner, they had some players to work around. Vasquez is languishing. They get the best out of him immediately. I was looking through the transactions. Is there a miss? Is there a single miss by Chris Albright in 2 years? Even one?
Do you want us to find one?
Yeah, if you've got one, tell it to me.
No, I wouldn't say there are misses. There are pieces that they've been able to fill. So, like, they did go out and get Alec Khan. He's not the starter. Now, that's credit to
Roman. But that's a low leverage miss, right?
100%.
And not even a miss. It's a good backup.
Yeah.
Then they got Celentano, so they have a starter.
Sergio Santos has not been.
He won them a playoff game.
100%. I don't think there's not one big. Yeah, there's not one big one where you're like, this is ridiculous.
But still, Santos.
He's good for them.
He's good for them.
But I think there was a hope he would be the Brenner replacement before they had to go get a Brenner.
The beauty is they didn't have to have that, right? Even Dambaji this year has scored crucial goals. Bupenza, his connection with Lucho is
Alvaro Barreal was a big actually
success.
Nobody expected that
the
level
development
from him.
of Barreal.
Yeah. You know?
You go get Miazga.
Well,
Wobodo's been a top level number 6.
Yeah, I think more than the signings to me, the most impressive thing has been the way they've been able to rehab the players that were there. Lucho, Brandon Vasquez. We talk about Barreal, who was supposed to be a 10, then he was a winger.
Yeah.
Now he's the best wing back and is going to go play wing back in Europe. You talk about Nick Hagland and what they were able to get out of that back line.
Rehabbing Junior Moreno from DC. When he was traded, we were like, what number is this for Junior Moreno?
Not me.
And now look who, that's
I was
fair.
into it, and I got smacked down.
Yeah.
So the one thing I do want to add in, because I think everything you said is right, and what you guys have talked about 100%, and it's impressive. We do have to point out and remember that ownership spent from day one. They spent poorly, and they spent chaotically. That's not the case of every team. So credit that the resources were there to try and make this team a big team and be a success. It was not properly used and all over the place. That doesn't change the fact that Brenner is of this quality and Lucho is of this quality. And when Chris Albright and Pat Noonan came in, they had those pieces to work with. And they've been supported since then at a continued level of like, not only that, but when you sell Brenner, you're going to get the money to spend on
Let's
Bupenza.
go get Miazga.
Yeah,
let's sign Bupenza.
Let's bring Mosquera on loan.
Mosquera,
Yeah, and I think Wobodo, to me, that's the linchpin move, which was they were good to start last year. It wasn't sustainable. It was like 5-4 victories, 5-0, 3-3. And there was a spot there of like, oh, let's settle in for a year. Let's try and make the playoffs. And I thought that was an ambitious move of like, no, let's get our Diego Chara today and let's compete for the rest of our time here. And they hit it on the head. And when you got that guy in the central midfield that can do what he does, you can always compete in every single game.
So to me, they were the anti-Shield team. And that's why this is so impressive. Like everything they did was the antithesis of what not only wins you a Shield, but just wins games in Major League Soccer.
Why?
Because the chaos.
Oh, I thought you meant under Noonan.
No. To change that DNA in 2 years. You said something I thought was interesting there, Diego, about how a team, the most difficult thing is to win that first trophy when you don't have a basis of success. And I think back to your time with the Timbers, I wonder if there was an element of that, of having to build that culture.
Yeah, that's why I say the way they did it. Because spending money is not the only thing, right? You should spend it in a good way. Yeah. And what it means a good way, it means that the coaching staff and the roster, right? They know how to compete.
Yeah.
How to compete, right? It could be more attractive as is in Columbus, right? That you want to see, you really enjoy, or it can be any way at this level, right? And what Cincinnati found this season is the way to compete. The players know how to go into the game. They know their role, every single one of them, right? And they perform. And then obviously getting result, it gives you more confidence to keep doing it. But it's the way to do it. And we did that in Portland, right? Mm-hmm. Obviously, it's the mindset of the coaching staff, the mindset of the core of the team, right? And then that translates to the whole team. But it's the way you compete. Knowing what is your role, every single one of the players, and knowing how is your style of play, right? That's the base to keep improving in a long season where you always have time to come back, right? And you see the West. So that's key for me, how to create that culture and that style of play. Culture means how you train every day, how you treat with each other in the team, and how's the goal you have as a team, right? And then style means what you got to do in the field, every single one of us, or as a team. So how we compete, and then it's just about increasing obviously your individual levels, and then obviously making changes if you need to make some changes. But it's about the style. That's what I like, and I say the way they did it. They have a way. They're gonna lose. in that way, but they have a way.
Yeah.
Right.
And it has allowed them to bring the right pieces in. Well, I think that's where you get the hits, because you're picking guys that fit that, not just talent. And then can we make it?
And sometimes you don't get that even spending money.
Right.
Look at Toronto. So they couldn't. They couldn't. That's a reality.
Sorry,
right?
there's somebody up in the skybox up there is yelling down at us right now. Lorenzo!
And
we're doing a show, man.
No, but it's not only about one. It's actually when you see.
That wasn't good.
So Leagues Cup, Miami, right? They changed the coaching staff. They changed the roster, half of
pretty
it,
much,
right? Pretty much. But the good thing about the Leagues Cup, it's getting the title, of course, winning your first one, but in the way they did it, they try to play every game in the same way, right? And that's a base for players and even for coaching staff and for front office to say, I think this is the way. This is the way. Obviously, it's related to getting results. It's related to. So if you don't get results, obviously, you're not competing, right?
And this is why, to your point, I think we all say, let's say this year, for example, if Philly and Seattle get in, you're slightly going to trust them because they've done it before. Cincinnati has now added themselves to that list, not for this year. They're favorites because they're the best team. But in future years, if this group's together and they're 6th in the league, you can always say, if they can get there, they're a contender because they have the experience and the culture, which they didn't have. But some of these clubs have it, and Seattle has looked as poor as they've looked at times. But you don't want to play them in the playoffs. And if they go to the Western Conference Finals on a run, no one's going to be shocked because you've seen it before. Your Timbers teams did it. TFC in 2019 felt like that. Like, that was not a great team, but they were relying on the experience they had the 2 years before. And I think Philadelphia is probably going to be that this year.
And there's a feeling, too, in those teams of when the summer comes, if we need something, because we have the connectiveness between our front office and our manager and the squad itself and our approach, that when we go make a move, it's going to be the right move, like Bupenza has now turned out to be. And, he had to come into that culture and adapt, and it certainly seems like that adaptation has happened. By the way, we haven't talked much about the result. They beat Toronto FC 3-2, came back, game-winning goal, I believe, from Bupenza it's from Vasquez. But Vasquez with a double, Bupenza scores. 2 errors by Roman Celentano. Hope he's washing those errors out before the playoffs.
But the keys to the goals in this game was the goals Vasquez scored were from areas that Vasquez used to occupy, that he then switched so that Brenner could occupy. And now with Bupenza back, he's occupying again. So for the second half of last year, when you watch these goals, Vasquez drops off and Brenner runs the end line. And the first goal is like a deflected shot that Vasquez taps in, where Bupenza's coming from deep.
It was actually both attacking through the left barrier process. Because in that way, Cincinnati is pretty clear. So you can say, But
Vasquez for so often had to be the one to drop off, to pick up the ball, to set up the triangle, to pull space. He's now shifted back, and it's good to see him finishing those chances, because there was a question mark this year of like, could he readjust himself to not being a setup guy, but being the finisher himself? And that's going to be huge if they're going to make a run.
It's now 15, I think, in all competitions for Brandon Vasquez. Yeah. And this is what you wanted to finish out the season if you're Noonan. Your best attacking players, in form, building chemistry. Health is starting to come back for a team that had a good bit of rotation on the back line. Have some questions here. Kevin Coe hit us up and said, since he clinched a playoff spot 2 months ahead of the end of the season, the earliest the team has clinched the Supporters Shield. I don't know if that's true. And they held the lead since May. If single season's point record is broken and the double is achieved, could this be considered the best team in MLS history? Pat Noonan was then asked today about the significance of capturing the Shield. Quote, I think that is now the Shield surpassed MLS Cup in terms of relevancy. That's not to take away the desire for our team to hold an MLS Cup trophy. That is, for many of us who are either Shield truthers or not, a pretty spicy quote.
Are you a truther?
No, I don't agree.
MLS Cup is number one still?
MLS Cup is different. It's different.
Yeah. I take things with a grain of salt when someone's holding one of the trophies that they say it's the better one. Just saying. I don't know that I disagree with him. I just think it's a convenient time to say that.
Yeah, for sure.
And like, credit to Pat Noonan, do it. And it's shifting. I think we have this combo every year. 10 years ago, no one would have accepted this comment. And every year we get a little bit closer to people being like, yeah, maybe. And we've got a new playoff format. So I think we'll sort of see how we feel like the deserving champ comes out. If they get the double, if they rate the points record. Yeah, I think that's going to be a fair conversation to have. And I think it's going to look obvious maybe in 5 years, because this is a group where a lot of guys are going to go on to great things, where some teams were players at the end, right? Victor Vasquez and Benoit Cheyrou and like guys like that in Toronto, where on this team, I think in 5 years, when you say Gerson Mosquera was on that team, Roman Celentano was on that team, Santiago Arias was on that team, Alvaro Barrial, obviously Arias not going to go on to do things. Sorry. But you know what I mean? Like,
I was like, I'm going to keep quiet on that.
Mosquera could be a Premier League starter.
For sure.
Barrial could be playing for Ajax. Celentano could be a national team player. Yeah. And so I think this team, if they achieve that, it won't be ridiculous to put them in that conversation.
But there's the mix, right? That Diego was talking about is you have all these guys that will go on to different things in, you know, wherever that may be with national teams, with club, but then Lucho is here and he's here for the long term. You've got him signed. You can continue to build around him.
Yeah.
Bupenza probably is too. He's sort of in the Diego Valeri, 26 years old, like beginning of his prime signing. You have Miazga's probably not going anywhere. This is probably where Miazga makes his legacy long term, right? So
yeah, this is a spot now.
So to be considered the best team in MLS, it takes time. You should maintain this for years, for seasons.
Yeah.
Not only breaking a record makes you the best team, right?
So, but let's say this.
And they haven't played even one final. So they played the semifinal Open Cup. So playing finals is different than knowing that you have. It's just different. It's a great achievement.
Yeah.
They have a trophy, right? But they haven't played a final. So playing the final, so even the preparation of a final, the night before the final is different than playing a game that you're going to play the next week and the next week and the next weekend. It affects the game. So you should go to it. It's a challenge. I'm not saying, I think they totally can do it because they have a way and they have the level. But they haven't done it before. So they haven't done it.
Hey, good point.
Right? It's a good point. To be the best, you should do it and consistently. You should play finals. You should be there. And for me, the MLS Cup is different because you play the regular season, right? Whatever. You can finish first in the West or Supporters Shield, whatever. And then you play almost two finals in your conference and then an MLS Cup final. So you play at least 2 finals to make it. Right?
Get to a final, says Diego Valeri. Yeah. We can say the thing to St. Louis as well. That's my best thing. St. Louis City at home with Sporting Kansas City in town. An opportunity to set up clinching the West. They didn't get it with their win. RSL had to beat LAFC as well. But now St. Louis, as an expansion team, home field advantage all the way through the playoffs. If they finish over Orlando.
Semantics.
And if Cincinnati fall out, they would host MLS Cup at City Park in year 1. And they did it in style, a 4-1 win. Klaus's second goal, that little touch to sort of trap it off the ground and have the wherewithal. That actually, you know what? I'm not just saying it because Diego's here. That felt like a Diego sort of goal.
It was a great skill. Yeah. Like similar than Luciano. So it looks like coming from Brazilian streets, right? Like crazy. So, and when you see Klaus big body
as a body
doing that,
you don't see it. Yeah,
it's amazing.
Yeah,
I mean, and he has showed that a couple of times with finishing.
His ability to react to whatever's happening, and when it doesn't look comfortable, to make the right touch in the right weight in the right direction. That's what makes him elite at his size.
5 goals in his 5 games started since returning. He had a couple games off the bench, and he said multiple times, "I did not feel comfortable."
The first goal he scored last game was amazing.
All of his
because it was a first touch with the internal, so with the inside of the foot. It's really hard to do that.
Yeah.
What have you thought of St. Louis, the project this year?
I think, wow, it's amazing. It's amazing what they've done. It's amazing. So the similar way of Cincinnati, but actually faster. So they did it in the first season. They have a way to play, and you see that the players know how to play. They really know the style, right? They know their limits. That's key. They know their limits, right? And knowing that, having a sense of that, they compete, right? Which is key. And since the beginning. So in the first 2 or 3 games, I realized not that they are gonna win the conference, right?
Right.
But that they are gonna be a team that, when you see the West, how even it is, right? They're taking an advantage because they have a style.
They know they can beat everyone on their day.
Yeah, and obviously because it's the first season, you are starting to see how they play, right? So all the rest of the teams, they know each other really well, right? And that's important. But still, if they can maintain these levels and they have a style.
But this is the third time they've played KC, right? So KC has seen it, and they were still able to do it to them.
Yeah.
And I think that shows you how committed they are. It's oddly worked out. Maybe that Klaus and Löwen went down when they did because the team, other people had to elevate and get opportunity, which worked. And then maybe towards the end where you start to say, oh, it's a long season. Are they running out of energy? Now Klaus has 5 goals in 5 games and like carrying them in this moment. Yeah. And so it's all sort of timed out for them.
But at the same time, Kansas, it didn't have the consistency during the season. So, but I agree with you. They still have, that's why they are in the first spot on the conference.
I'm scrolling here on Twitter trying to find the MLSsoccer.com predictions. Did you do predictions?
At the beginning of the season?
Yeah.
I say Nashville.
But what did you say for St. Louis?
Did you do one for every?
No, I didn't say anything.
Oh, that's a smart thing.
I didn't say
that's
anything.
Very smart.
Yeah, no, I was cautious. Yeah, I was cautious.
13th for St. Louis.
But I didn't know anything about them. About them. I just
apparently Sam Adeniran said they had the rankings up in there. It's the second year in a row.
But after the fourth game, I realized that they were going to compete, and they are doing it.
Guess what?
But
they don't let you do it after the fourth game. You have to do it before the first.
But it's not the same. The regular season. Look at Leagues Cup. I mean, they didn't play every game with starters. It's true. Right? Actually, they rested them a lot, but it was tough for them.
Yeah,
it was tough for them. So it's different. It's different player format.
Yeah, that's the question that I've asked a lot. Is I thought Leagues Cup and last time they played KC, I thought we saw an intensity to the games that's next level, and I didn't think St. Louis is capable of getting there. I didn't think they understood it because they haven't been there, like you've talked about. Doing it week after week and beating Colorado and then San Jose comes in is different than you spent 2 weeks getting ready to play RSL with their season on the line. And Chicho Arango has won MLS Cup before, and he knows what he's doing in the hotel room the night before and how his mind is. That's different. And we have, because of the way Leagues Cup went, I don't feel like I have a good grasp on what St. Louis will be in the playoffs, and I won't be surprised either way.
Here's the one thing I'll say about St. Louis. They now have, even though we didn't think it at the start of the season, that's why people picked them 13th and 14th, clear match winners. At least one at an elite level in Joe Klaus. Definitely another at that level, except not scoring goals, preventing them in Roman Berkey. Yeah. Berkey was incredible for the first hour against Kansas City, and then Carnell made some subs, and that sort of changed the game. Giacchini came on, created a ton of space for Adeniran and Klaus, and they ran away with it. And then, as to Diego's point, a bunch of guys that understand very clearly their role and the culture of nobody believes in us. We have something to prove, not just in some stupid thing, that pundits like us said, but in the sense of their careers being on the line. Like St. Louis understood, for our style, for the personality of Bradley Carnell, for the way that we're building, how we're spending, where we're allocating resources, we're not going to go get the first guy on the list. We're going to go get Indiana Vassilev. We're going to go get Stroud. We're going to trade for Adeniran. We're going to sort of... Löwen didn't have the success. Löwen didn't have the success in Germany. Klaus the same way. He had bounced around on loan. Aziel Jackson. They got a bunch of dudes that were like, we are all in on your messaging, on how to rehab or revive or launch our careers. And they did it. And the other thing is St. Louis invested in a different way. Instead of going out and signing a $10 million player, which they may well do soon, TBD. They said, we're going to get everybody together, DPs included, a year early, 6 months early. We're going to let Bradley Carnell cook. And he cooked for a year before they even played an MLS game, and they jumped out to 5 straight wins, and they never looked back.
Yeah. You okay?
No, I'm sorry. I was just running out of breath.
Oh, I thought you were emotional.
No, I was just running out of breath.
Yeah. I got emotional.
And to throw on, I think in MLS, you can sort of see, and obviously in talking about your song and everything, I think you can see sometimes when a team in a market react, the value the players have, the way they carry it. I think the level raises. And I think Tim Parker's like 14th on jersey sales.
Yeah, that's what I'm going to say. So their crowd, so their supporters, maybe they're going to be key.
Yeah.
In
I totally agree. And I think
because they look very passionate.
Yeah.
I know Portland is
the way they play.
Portland is a soccer city, right? But I heard that San Luis, it's a
big And everyone has always said it's a soccer city. So now you sell out every game and they stand every minute. It's proof of that concept.
Yeah.
And I think that it's an area that's in love with this team. And I think even past this year, this is going to be one of those teams where even in bad years, they're competitive because there's expectations. And I think expectations carries you over the course of a long MLS season, at least far enough.
Yeah, but is the expectation of San Luis winning a trophy this season?
I don't know.
We're gonna,
but maybe that takes a run. That's important.
Yeah.
Diego's
maybe
MLS Cup contenders coming
right.
up. Dave, give us your best thing you saw quickly, and we'll keep rolling.
It's smaller than the two you said, but in its own way for Orlando City. This weekend, they set their individual MLS points record for a season. So Oscar Perea took over. They made their first ever final, and MLS is back. They made their first ever playoff. Then they won their first ever playoff game. Then they won their first ever trophy in US Open Cup last year. This is the direction you want to go in. We just talked about two clubs that did it really fast. That's not normally how it happens. And so for Orlando to take another step this year by having their best ever regular season and Oscar Perea continuing to grow, which I think hopefully alleviates everyone in saying, let's sign that contract. Let's extend this. This is going in the right direction. Why would we stop it? Luis Muzzi and Oscar Perea should stay. It's a big deal. It's a big deal because it's tough to bring players into this league. And that was what you guys celebrated in the offseason. I think it's kind of funny because when you look at their starting lineup this weekend, I think there are two new players. Everyone else was on the team last year.
And one of them's Dagger Dan, who we probably wouldn't have.
And the other one is a draft pick in Duncan McGuire.
Yeah.
So like for all of the like Martino Hayda is going to be a difference maker. Enrique Ramiro, Erkan Kara will be bigger this year. It's kind of the same guys again, but either way it works. They're going to finish on 54, 55, 57 points. There's a pretty good chance they qualify for Champions CONCACAF through regular season. So that's going to give you back-to-back years playing at that level, recruiting players to play at that level, understanding what it was like last year to be ready to go forward. So it was on a smaller scale to the two clubs' experience. But for Orlando City, I think this season's already been a success. And this just solidifies it. And I think you got to feel good for another fan base that was out there and was loud for 5-6 years when they didn't really have 100%. The results.
By the way, they'll have another sort of, feather in their cap as well, because you assume Facu Torres is going to be sold. And for Orlando City and the location that they're at with the guys in the front office, the way they recruit, that's only going to help them recruit as well. All right, Diego's MLS Cup contenders. We tried to rank a top 5, and it was just too hard. So, Diego, take us through the 5 teams you think are most likely to win MLS Cup.
It's so difficult, Andrew. You put me in
this is what we do.
Difficult position. So I say Cincinnati because they have a way and they are winning every game, right? And they have probably the MVP. MVP?
Yeah, the MVP.
The MVP, the MVP.
He might win the Golden Boot. Lucha.
Yeah.
So he might lead the league in both assists and goals, lower numbers than we've seen the other years, but he's going to do both.
Let's see. But
MVP.
But still, so that's
self-explanatory.
why Cincinnati is clearly
check mark.
It's check mark. It's a wish because I like the way Columbus play. The Columbus Crew is second on the list for me. But they should, the same way we talk about St. Louis and about playoff format. When I love them. I love them when they are winning 2-0 and they still putting 9 players in the attack, but still, it's.
Do you think Wilfred Nancy will change his identity at all in the playoffs? Will they tone that down, or will they?
No, I don't think so. But still, I think they are in the list for me, because in the way they play, the intensity, the way they dominate the games, right? The way they possess the ball, the players they have for it, right? How he found a central back like Morera. He's a right back and he's playing 1v1 in defense and getting the ball and attacking the goal he scored against America. I mean, how he joins the attack. Darlington Nagbe, experience. He won with Portland. He won with Atlanta. He won with Columbus. So it's huge and it's a different level player. Cucho. Rossi. Now Celarayan left Rossi. Matam, for me, it's a great addition. Creative players. So I love them. Aiden Morris, the way they play in the middle. So, and they attack really well through the wing back. So for me, they are there, right? Yep. They are in the second spot. And Philly, I think it's it's another one. So it's the third one for me.
You're not concerned at all about Philly's form of late. 5 straight draws for Philly.
No.
And we just saw a 1-1 draw between the Union and Crew in Matchday 35. No concern.
No concern because the same. They found a way to play, right? And if they are actually they rotated last game when Carranza, Ure, and Gazda got in the team. It changed a lot, right? And then obviously they have a good goalie. Like, it's a good goalie, experience. Elliot has experience, so they probably, and they know what it is to play final. They already know what it is, right? Yeah. And in the same way than Orlando, they went increasing, keeping coaching when Philadelphia didn't win and they couldn't find results. And so now, for me, they are in that list.
All right.
They are in that list.
You have 2 teams in the Western Conference.
2 teams in the Western. West Conference, it's
hard to read.
It's hard to read.
Yeah.
But still, I put LAFC and Seattle in those 5 contenders.
Okay. LAFC has 1 win in 7. They just lost at home to RSL.
Yeah.
Steve Cherundolo's talking about fatigue. But you believe.
Yeah, I believe. I believe they have enough quality in their roster, right? And it's true that they are been struggling in what is important in the game, which is the boxes, right?
Right.
In the box, they have
right.
struggling.
They're the best team in the middle.
Yeah. But they still, when you see them play, even yesterday they lost against Salt Lake. They have the ball. They have the purpose in the game. So it's just a matter of having Carlos and Boanga and Bogus and those offensive guys in their games, right? In the good levels in the playoff, and they're gonna be probably capable to make a final. And Seattle, at home, they use really good, their advantage, the field. Even Portland does. That's why in the last 10 years, Portland and Seattle have played many finals, because they have good roster. They have experienced people, a core of in the team that has played many finals, and they wake up in these kind of moments of the season.
I think those are fair. I think those are probably the starting point. I could
St. Louis
debate some.
St. Louis.
Screaming at us right now.
St. Louis is the big one.
It could be.
Orlando's another one.
I would say right now, oddly, I trust Seattle more than LAFC. Because whatever's happening with LAFC has consistently been in the same direction down the whole year, where Seattle's had up and down.
Yeah, but there's someone else. Atlanta is playing really good. Atlanta is playing really good. But in talking about the LAFC, they have Carlos, which is really experienced. They have Boanga, which is MVP list, right? Scoring goals. He's capable to score goals. And then when you see all of Palacios on the left, Hollingshead, big experience. Yeah. So Ely, big experience in the league. So when you see 1v1, their team, still, they're struggling, but they have the capability there.
Yeah.
Right?
I agree with you. I think one issue has been they need Boanga to be almost Vela of the past. And if he's not, that's fair, because that's too high of an expectation. But at the beginning of the year when he was, they were winning. And now if he doesn't finish, they don't win. Like, they'll tie because they're still good, but it feels like if he doesn't score, they can't win. Can I throw... So St. Louis, it's just because of experience that you don't.
No, it's because, when the same. So they don't have the experience, right? But let's say this, if they have to play with Seattle, right? So they don't have the pressure to make the final, right? Seattle has the pressure to make the final. But in every line, right? Burki is an experienced player. But still, when you see in the MLS, right? Even Ever has more experience than Klaus. Right? But still, it could be one game. Out of the best of 3, maybe St. Louis can make it. But when it's only one game, right? Seattle has played against the best LAFC and beat them, right? Even kicking twice and winning 3-1, right? Or whatever. So they know how to do it, right? So I don't know. That's why. But it's only 5. If you give me 7, it probably maybe San Luis in the.
We had an artificial
6 or 7.
So the 2 that I would add,
it's because of that. It's because of the experience in the league.
So the 2 I would add besides St. Louis, where I think that's fair, are cheap. I think, but it's Houston and Nashville. I think Houston has a clear identity. They've now won in that identity.
Yeah.
I think it's one that will work in the playoffs in that they'll control the flow of games.
Yeah.
And Columbus being probably the easiest comparison. I do worry about Patrick Schulte, maybe even more than the defense and throwing numbers forward of like, he has mistakes in him that they can't afford in goal, where Steve Clark has been there before, has had big moments. And Andrew Tarbell just won US Open Cup, if that's the situation they're in. So while Houston can't score and that's their own conversation and problem, we've seen them do it. Now Nashville as well. They went to a Leagues Cup final. So there's confidence in their ability in these moments. And I think they have strengths at the positions where a weakness could be an Achilles heel. They have that now. They don't have great goal scoring either, besides Hani. And that's part of their problem. I don't think any of these teams are without flaw. I think that's sort of part of the combo this year. Is like last year, it felt like there was 3 juggernauts in Montreal, Philly, and LAFC. This year, it feels like there's 1 juggernaut and 6 or 7 teams that could be or could not be.
Yeah.
Agree. I think Orlando should be pushed into that category as well with the way that they can play in the playoffs and the difference makers that they have in the back, especially at center back. It's wide open to me. I am very curious to see how these 3-game series in the first round is going to affect how teams prepare and what we see from clubs. 3 straight games against the same team is a different animal, especially with the intensity levels we're talking about. I do want to mention Nashville and Seattle playing this weekend. Scoreless draw. To go to Nashville, their issue is just they don't create enough chances. They still don't. It was a very poor performance at home from Nashville, and Seattle were without Rui Diaz and Morris, so a TBD on them. I mean, those are the two finishers. Alistair Brewer hit us up, and I'm pretty sure this is just Anders' burner account because it's Jackson Reagan is better than Walker Zimmerman and Matt Miazga. Pencil him into the USMNT 2026 roster.
Love that.
Right now. So
Alistair Brewer has been with us for a while, so I appreciate that.
Yeah, which makes me, I'm sure you are you, Alistair, but because you've been with us this long, it makes me feel like
no, it's a real one. But any conversation around best defenders, a Seattle player has to be in there because I think they have the best defense in the league. Statistically, I think XG, they do. Goals against, they're second. In my mind, Ymar is the elite piece of that defense. So as much fun as it is to talk about Jackson Reagan, and he's young and couldn't continue to get better and get more experience, I think Ymar carries more of the weight of that team, both in possession and out of possession.
But again, this is the mix we were talking about with Cincinnati as well, of like, what is the right mix of players? You can't put Jackson Reagan and another young player next to him. Mm-hmm. You need the foundational piece to raise Reagan's level. So
I've also voted Ymar Defender of the Year like 3 times already. So if he wins it this year, I'll feel great. Yeah.
How about
him
this?
And Eddie Segura are my 2 votes this year.
I don't think Segura is gonna. I don't think he's gonna be on the ballot. I hate to break that one to you. Most disappointing playoff result of the weekend in playoff context. You can just look at the entire area around the playoff line. Let's see. I'm gonna go Minnesota United. Up 1-0 at home. Timu Pukki has a sitter to make it 2-0. Doesn't finish. Does score the first goal. So credit to Timu. He's been on form. San Jose, inevitably, they come back, score the goal to tie it. Minnesota United, the worst team in Major League Soccer at home.
So Minnesota.
Yeah, they have the worst.
The worst.
Yeah.
Well, technically, the Rapids have 1 point less.
Yeah, I mean they're wrong.
So, if we're looking to be exactly right, Colorado Rapids. But Minnesota are 1 point better. 3 wins, 4 losses, 9 draws. And it's the draws that are killing them. Like, finish a game. If they could have finished that game, they would be right there with Dallas. They would be behind on goal differential, but they would be tied on points. As it stands, they're 3 points off the line, probably going to miss the playoffs.
Yeah. It's kind of been a convo for a while. Reynoso is obviously elite. You've talked a lot about teams that know how they want to play. They have experience, but they don't have an identity that they can lean back on to see out games or in tough moments, and it's come back to bite them a lot.
Yeah, and that's why they signed Pukki, and he's still adapting to his role, and still couldn't show that, at least quickly, right? As they expected, because they need to score goals. I mean, they produce, right? They're not an offensive team. They're not a defensive team. They have kind of a hybrid, right? And that's their style. And they depend a lot on Bevelo creating chances, right? And they need a scorer. That's key.
Once they get the goals, find a way to keep the focus at home defensively. Dave, most disappointing result?
Has to be Red Bull Chicago Fire. Red Bulls, I thought, were dead and buried 2 weeks ago. They all of a sudden they get the big 5-3 against DC United. Now they're one spot behind the playoff line. We continue to talk about heritage and culture, and this is a team that has made the playoffs for 14 straight years. It felt like it had finally clicked. Of not that they were going to score a ton of goals and be explosive. They were going to do enough to get over that playoff line. Like, this is a club that has always done that, and they were going to do it again. So you lose to the Chicago Fire team that are in the playoff race themselves, but have been woeful at best, struggles to defend. They don't score a single goal. Everything about this was set up for Red Bulls to, like, if you can steal 3 points here, or get 3 points, at home against Chicago Fire.
There's no stealing.
Get 3 points here. You can manage the FC Cincinnati game, and you can come back, and you're probably in a playoff spot. I think they're done now. And so to not have the pride or confidence or whatever it is individually to step up and perform in this game, I think we look at a club that we feel like the issues are bigger than just some pieces on the roster. This, to me, was the most telling moment so far of the year that's the case.
Yeah, let's say that they played a big part of the game with 10 men.
Yeah.
Right? So that's, it was part of that game in Chicago. Just, just to say something in favor.
But you have no choice.
No, but it's true. It's true. Yeah. You should still find a way to win the game. And actually,
make decisions
they
to not
struggle
get the red card,
scoring goals the whole season. They score against DC so many goals. It should be like
but also Chicago's a team that's like they give up set piece goals. They give up transition goals. It was set up for you to, no matter what it is. And were they going to? Right? Like, you walk away from these games and you're like, they could have played for 300 minutes in 8v7, and I don't know that they're going to score.
The other thing is the Fire now control their own destiny, which is just a stupid thing to say.
How is this?
What a game against Miami, right?
Yeah,
what a
it's
game.
So dumb. It's so dumb that the Fire didn't have a win since Leagues Cup. I think it was 5 losses in 7, and now they win 1 game and they control their own destiny. It is seriously just the most pathetic slap fight around the Eastern Conference playoff line. It's shocking. Diego, what's the worst result of the weekend for you?
For me, was LA Galaxy 3, Portland Timbers 3, because Galaxy, conceded 2 goals in the first half, but they scored 3 goals, and they didn't find a way to hold that result. Right, because they are 4 games to go in the West, which is so tight, and if they won that game against direct rival as the Portland Timbers, that Portland probably is the best team in the last 6-7 games, right? They won 5, and they couldn't hold it. They couldn't hold 45 minutes with that result, right? They scored without Ricky Push 3 goals, right? So
good goals too.
Free kicks, free set pieces. And Douglas Costa scored a goal.
Technically, they scored 4 goals. If we're, Eric Zavaleta had 3, and 2 were for his team.
No, I remember. So, but anyways, the thing is, having the chance, right, for 45 minutes to go, to hold the result, right? Because to win a game, how many goals you should score to win a game?
Yeah.
Right? How many?
At least 1.
Without your
when you get 3,
guy.
You should probably win that game.
And it's not enough to win the game.
Second straight game, it was 3 goals and not enough to win the game.
Oof. So for me, it's very disappointing, because then you depend on you. So it's just about you. And they are in a still. It's still similar than Chicago. In they are, in terms of points, capable to make the playoff, but winning this game, it was key for them, and they couldn't hold 45 minutes.
Couldn't do it. We would talk Inter Miami and New York City. They drew 1-1. No Messi, obviously, watch him, but I think we're going to save that one. We're running out of time here, and I want to get to more stuff. Matchday 36 is coming up. Squad pick is coming up. Before I get to our squad picks, let's just quickly give the game that we're watching to get people ready for Wednesday night. We don't have to tease it too much because, come on, it's MLS Wednesday night ahead of decision day. 3 match days left. It is going to be absolute insanity. I'm going to go Eastern Conference. I've been talking about the Eastern Conference round robin between the 2 through 7 seeds for a while. Shout out to Evan Mansell in my DMs. He pointed out that it's going to get crazy between these teams. So Philly, Atlanta this Wednesday, Nashville, Orlando, which would be a playoff preview, the 2 and the 7 seed currently, and New England, Columbus. If you look at these schedules, Orlando at Nashville, New England, Columbus at New England, at Atlanta, Montreal, just threw that on a decision day because it could decide a lot. Philly, Atlanta, Nashville, New England, Atlanta, Philly, Columbus, Cincinnati, New England, Columbus, Orlando, Nashville, and Philly. Nashville, Orlando, Philly, New England. It is just going to be a bloodbath for seeding.
You know, if you read one team playing the other team, you don't have to then go read their schedule.
Yeah, but this is my first list. So, so I'm looking at all those games.
Honestly, as someone who loves the schedule read, that wasn't my cup of tea.
Well, you've got a read coming, so don't worry about it. What's your game, Dave?
Vancouver is St. Louis, because we didn't talk about Vancouver in our MLS Cup convo. And I think I'm almost ready to say that they are a true contender. I think they have a clear style of play. I think they've got depth. I think they've got quality. This is their chance to host St. Louis. Can you do it at home? Can you sort of dictate the game? Can you manage St. Louis's moments? Can you choose whether you're going to play through them or you're going to play over them? If you play over them, do you have the speed to beat Parker and Nielsen or whoever it is? I think this is a big game for proving grounds, and in an unknown Western Conference, how can you look away from a Vancouver team that put up 6 results in a 7-game road trip?
But drew it home to DC.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, it wasn't an ideal result coming back home.
But if your issue
the trend is not good. It's the last 4 games are 2 losses, 2 draws.
Yeah, but they went to Colorado midweek. They have to travel for most of these games.
Colorado's a juggernaut.
They're coming off a 7-game road trip, and this is at the end of it. And I think it's fair in that convo to say there are some issues for Vancouver, but I think one of their big issues is blowing out bad teams, right? Like putting a DC away. That's not the playoffs.
True.
Like that's the opposite, which is, can you hang in there when you're not doing well and have enough to get over the top? And you look at Canadian Championship and you look at Leagues Cup and you look at the way they've played over this run, they've shown they can do that.
Okay.
I agree. It's actually a good game to see how St. Louis reacts to it.
Right.
Not only Vancouver, right?
Mm-hmm. We'll see Cincinnati as well. I think Cincinnati might go for it at home, but both those teams, after clinching home field advantage in their respective conferences, less motivation to put out full teams. Diego, your Matchday 36 game to watch.
For me, it's clearly Chicago-Miami, because Miami is playing a final every game. Chicago got a great result in Red Bulls, right, in New York. And for me, this game is key for Miami. So even if they are playing against Charlotte twice, this game against Chicago, right, in Chicago, it's key.
Do you
Let's see if Messi is gonna play, which
seems like very unlikely.
Very unlikely. Shorty,
how much do you think we'll see Lionel the rest of the way?
Oof, I don't know. I
think that's the universal answer, right?
I'm not sure. So nobody knows what's happening. Right? Nobody knows really what's happening.
Tata said closer to the international break, they think they'll start to add some load. I don't know what that means with Messi, but get him out on the field.
But I expect, maybe I will expect to see him the last 2 or 3 games.
Okay. MLS squad pick
so
time.
Maybe not this coming Wednesday. So not this coming Wednesday, but maybe weekend. It's a chance. Right?
Yep. I hope.
Agree with it?
I hope. I don't know. I'm squarely in the 3 words. The magic.
There's no more time. There's no time.
It's that or
they should win this game, and then wait for Messi on the weekend.
And maybe the results will dictate how much he might play as well. Like if there's not,
I don't know. In my mind, it's the season's already been a success, and if there's any question, you save him for the next 2 years. Like you signed him for 3.5 years. You won a trophy. You qualified CONCACAF Cup. People have come out and watched you play. You have a style. You have a future. Mm-hmm. Tata's building. There's going to be more change this offseason, what I think is going to actually make the team fit even better. I think you've already accomplished so much. The risk of it getting worse.
But then you have a long off season to rehab.
Yeah.
And a pre-season to work.
But do you want Messi to have to rehab?
No. If they can, obviously.
Yeah.
So that's.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because nobody knows what's happening, right?
Right.
So if it's just
Wait, all Argentines don't text? Are they not on the same chat?
Yeah, no. But I can reach.
Check your WhatsApp.
I can reach tomorrow.
I can
reach
might
tomorrow.
Might be a new update in there. Squad pick time.
Who knew there were mosquitoes?
There's a mosquito in here.
Join our league, MLS Squad Pick. Go to MLSSquadPick.com to play, or you can click the link we tweet out. Join the official Extra Time League. Use code EXTRA, all caps, EXTRA. Pick 5 players for your squad. If they all score in the same match day, you win. You can win a free jersey, up to $160 gift card to MLS Store if all your players score. Each round you play, even if you don't win, gives you 1 entry for the $10,000 grand prize at the end of the season. I don't think the point of the nature first orca scarf was to try and kill bugs with it.
I went for it. I tried. I thought, you know what better than an orca to rise up from the depths?
Yeah.
To take down this mosquito.
So squad pick, I think talked about it last time. No one has won in our league, but we have 3 leaders on points. I don't know what the points are. So 5 Stripe and JPC173 Creativity are in the lead. Last match day, we got 4 of 5 right as a group.
So David Goss, Pupenza.
Check. Game winner.
Doyle, Facu Torres. Let's go.
Check.
Wiebe, Felipe Mora. Hey. And then the squad came together and said, Klaus, check.
Twice.
Stefano Fusaro, where you at, bro?
Steph.
Jesus Ferreira. Should have known better.
We should not pick FC Dallas players.
No more FC Dallas players. Okay. Control Room has made a pick because there's 3 of us and then we'll make a squad pick. Control Room has picked Jordan Morris because his wife just gave birth. So he's, obviously on a high family-wise. He rested. Galaxy can't defend. Big dad game incoming.
If you have the kid, do you do the ball under the shirt or you do that?
Oh.
Which is post.
The thumb sucking.
I think this is easier.
Okay.
Yeah, you got thumb suck.
This is easier.
Okay.
Who's your player, Diego? Who are you?
Who's my picking? I told you. Giacomakis.
Yeah, Giacomakis. Good pick.
They rested too.
Mm-hmm.
He's very ambitious striker, and they are in the Golden Boot career. So if there's a PK, who's gonna kick it?
He hasn't taken one this year.
He hasn't.
No. I think all run of play.
Who you guess is gonna do it?
I think he'll ask for it.
Of course. If you're his teammate, you're not gonna give him the ball.
You're the one that's been in those situations, not me.
Of course, yeah.
You give it
up. Of course, yes. Okay. Giacomakis.
I hope that everyone goes back through Valeri's career and finds all the games he played where someone else was up and he took the PK.
Just ignoring what? What are you talking about? What are you talking about? This is my PK. Dave, who's your player?
I feel like I'm going to go back to the well, which I think is dangerous, but I'm going to go with Brandon Vasquez. I think they've won Supporters Shield. He's been as emotional and connected to this as anyone. He's going to be playing on a high. Red Bull's at home. I just think it's going to be like a bastion of energy at TQL. And I think he's getting in the positions to be the goal scorer. So I went Pupenza last time. I'm going to go Vasquez this time.
All right. I'm stuck between 2 players. Cucho is most certainly one of them.
But at New England?
I know, but New England's a little bit leaky. The other one is Brian White because it just feels like a guarantee at this point. And I feel like St. Louis going cross country after winning this might take the chance to just
St.
get
Louis
a little
located
breather.
On a coast?
Well, it's still across part of the country.
Canada in the same country?
Half cross country plus customs.
Yeah.
So that can be difficult. I'm gonna go Brian White, and then we can debate on the final one. Cucho could be good. Doesn't sound like you're convinced though, Dave. Is there one you wanna?
No, I was actually thinking on the other side because Columbus opened themselves up. Oh, sorry. Yeah.
Carlos Hill maybe to get the PK bump.
Carlos Hill.
Yeah,
I could go Carlos Hill. I like Carlos, so we'll go Carlos Hill. So our picks are Brian White, Brandon Vasquez,
or Thomas
Giacomakis, Carlos Hill, and Jordan Morris
with the Chancalay.
Chancalay in New England.
He's been a goal scorer. Should we take the risk and go Chancalay?
I feel like having the penalty bump could be big.
Okay. I feel committed to this because I won't be here for the next show, so I won't have to deal with the reverb.
Mike from Atlanta hit us up on the Giacomakis side, said, I felt that I needed to reach out to you guys because of a mission in your year prediction show a few weeks ago. You guys anointed Lionel Messi the newcomer of the year, and then no one asked who else would be in the running, and no one said Giacomakis. Messi's played 4 MLS games and might be out for the rest of the season. Giacomakis could be the Golden Boot leader. He's the guy who came into the Atlanta side to replace the King, didn't even blink the player who is tied without taking a single penalty. If you want to give it to Messi for the narrative, I get it, but let's at least give credit to the true newcomer of the year. I think I was on newcomer of the year, and I said Messi because I was assuming some things would happen, and that was probably pre-injury. I think probably Messi's out of the newcomer side, right? At least in reality, but
it's a really good point. That's a really good point.
Because he's not played enough in MLS. It's not League's Cup, but it's going to be very hard not to vote for him given the name and the success. So I don't know. We'll see.
Who else? So would it be Giacomakis if it's not?
I think Giacomakis for a newcomer, it's a good fit.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, I think that's probably a good call. We'll see. I mean, obviously momentum matters, and
but let's wait because
events before
there's still
voting.
games to go for Miami.
That's what I'm saying.
So if Messi is on the field,
and they make the playoffs,
whatever can happen.
The other two that I think could pop up is Chicho Arango. Is he allowed?
He's a newcomer?
No, he can't.
He's new to the team. He didn't start the year.
Newcomer to the league?
Oh, come on. I want no. Come on.
Okay. I feel like I just got megged for a second time.
Yeah, who's the other one?
You know my guy, Mean Bossy.
No, come on.
U.S. Open Cup
Bossy,
win. He's got 10 goals. He'll have 10 goals by the end of the year.
Six penalties. Just.
I mean, hey, you should score a PK.
Yeah.
You should score the PK.
Roman Berkey could be in that, but he'll win goalkeeper of the year, so you don't want to double up. You want to spread
even
the love.
Klaus.
Yeah.
It's actually,
yeah,
right?
actually, Klaus should probably be in.
Evander could be in there too, but Klaus missed so much of the season.
Can we get an Evander take before we're done?
Yeah,
it depends how it ends.
No, I'm saying in general.
Oh, what?
What do you think of Evander in general?
I think he's a great player.
Yeah.
The quality is a high quality, creative midfielder.
Yeah.
Right. So, and I think he's taking more responsibility. Right. At the beginning of the season, he was still like adapting to a new style, right, of play of the game of the team, obviously new field, the turf, right, of everything. Then season was like a little bit they struggle, the team struggle, and he went with it. But I watched the last Seattle Portland Timbers game in Seattle, and you can tell that he was already taking responsibility on the team, right? And he found a different position, right? Like more having the game more in front of to see the game, like instead of playing almost as a striker, right? So he's more playing closer to the 6, which is something that it looks like he likes it. So I think he's capable to be way better, right? But still, he shows quality, and he showed that he's capable to translate that to goals and assists, which is key for Timbers.
Yeah,
Miles Joseph.
I'm in love. I think he's fantastic.
Do you think Miles Joseph should get a good shot at the full-time job with Portland?
I assume he's going to be on the list, no? Yeah. After these winnings, he's going to be on the list. Who else would you
put on that list?
Oh, I don't know.
Okay.
What's you were with Miles? He was an assistant under Gio when you were there, yeah?
Yeah, he was an assistant. Yeah. That's why he didn't change much, right? He just maintained the way, right, of the last. Actually, in the last, being honest, the last 3 or 4 games of Gio's era, Timbers play they play well. They play against San Jose in this cup. They play a good game. They won. They play against Tigres, a very good game. Against Monterrey, a good game. And then against Houston, it was a disaster, right? So, but they started to show a different level as a team and individually. So that's why he didn't. He actually said it. I'm not gonna change much, right? Because there's foundation that we have been working on it. They just tweak a little bit. They are using a little bit the wingers a little bit more wide on the field, right? They're using the width a little bit different in the team. And I think it's all about how much character the players showed after this, Gio problem. So yeah, I think it's about them. But it's good for Miles that he, keep doing the good stuff, right? He keep reinforcing the good stuff and trying to wake them up, right? In terms of, hey, we can still make it. Let's be confident on what we have, right? And then results obviously always help.
Good fortune as well. Felipe Mora returning from injury.
Yeah,
but I will give Miles Joseph some credit. It seems like he's the one that moved Santi Moreno inside into that central attacking midfield role more.
I think Gio did it many times.
Just didn't work out.
It actually, yeah. And or if he played on the winger, Santi tucked in. So, which is not the same, but almost, right?
Santi's been absolutely brilliant. Brilliant.
He's one of the best under 22 signings in that initiative that there's been. There's been some other big ones since him at probably bigger numbers, like you look at Inter Miami, but from day one, pure quality all the way through, it's been Santi Moreno.
All right. That's it from us. Big thanks to Diego Valeri for stopping by, chatting about just about everything. Sounders fans somewhere still head in hands, and that's just the way that the Portland Timbers like it. Yeah. All right. Matchday 36 Wednesday night, MLS Season Pass on Apple TV, and we will be back on Thursday to wrap it up and send you into the weekend. Have a good week, everybody. Adios.
¿Qué genera en los corazones el juego más hermoso del mundo? Hace 10 años me fui del barrio Granate de Lanús al verde bosque de Portland a embarcarme en una aventura que traía la novedad a mi vida futbolística. En una temporada única en la historia del fútbol norteamericano, los invito a acompañarme en este nuevo rol. Historias desde todas las perspectivas, alrededor de un punto común: el amor por una pelota de fútbol.